Chris and I have worked together for many years, and she is the marketing expert on our team with lots of experience in launching practices as well as bringing new patient flow up in practices all over the country. And I've asked Chris to be with us today to share some of her specific hands-on examples. She travels all over the country every week working in dental practices that are clients of the Total Patient Service Institute and Crown Council members. And so, Chris, we're grateful to have your expertise and wisdom with us today. Thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
So let's start about talking about dominating your market and what exactly that means. One of the first rules, one of the first items of success, in fact, I was taught this by one of my mentors many, many years ago, is that there's a lot of secrets to success, but one sure key to failure is that you can't be everything to everybody. So while you can't be everything to everyone, you can be something to someone. And so the first secret of dominating your market is to determine who your market is to begin with. Who is your target market? And we always say, be clear and they'll get near. If you're clear on who your target market is, then it's a lot easier for them to get near to you. One of the action items that we have suggested for many years is going through an 80-20 analysis of your practice and taking a look at the 80% of the revenue that comes into your practice, and inevitably every year that will come from 20% of your patients. So to take a look at that on a regular basis and say of the core patients who are really making up the bulk of our practice, who are they? Where did they come from? What's their referral source? What's their demographic? What do they look like? And get some kind of similarity in that group so you know exactly who it is that you're trying to target the most. Again, you can't be everything to everybody, but if you have a clear picture of who it is that you're trying to target and who it is that you want to come into your practice and have some type of a profile, then ongoing it's a lot easier to target that group and move forward with initiatives that will attract them to your practice. So that is action item number one, is if you haven't done it recently, go ahead and run an 80-20 analysis on your practice. You may have to do it by hand, but essentially you're going to go through and list all your patients from biggest case to smallest case and add those up, add the total dollars up until you get to 80% of your total production. And inevitably that's going to be about 20% of your patients. And then put those names up on the board, run some ages, where they live, where they came from, and find similarities, because that's an indication of what your target market is and the people that you want to attract more of. Next, once you've determined who it is that you're trying to attract more of, then it's time to create what we call a C.B.S. That stands for a compelling benefit statement. Compelling benefit statement is a phrase or a short statement that tells people exactly what it is that you do in a unique and compelling way. Here's why. In our brains we tend to compartmentalize things in order to stay organized. We have a category for families and friends and teachers and bankers and what a fireman is and a vet and all of those things. We have compartments for those things so that when somebody says, I'm an attorney, you have a category for that you've already figured out, and it's conveniently categorized, and you're done and you can move on. We organize things for simplicity. We have categories for all those things, including the dentist. Now, for each one of these categories of things, people have definitions or words that are associated with each of those categories. With the doctor, it might mean sick. With a teacher, it might mean boring. A banker might mean a money grabber, whatever it is. I mean, each category has a definition or a word that defines it in your mind based on your experience. So the question is, when most people think of the dentist, what is the first word that comes to mind? And I think you'd agree, for most people, not your patients, but for the population in general, when you say the word dentist, they think the word pain. So what we're trying to do with a compelling benefit statement is we're trying to transform that and recategorize the categories so that when they think dentist, they think something better like perhaps pleasure or something that will redefine what it is that you do so that you're not lumped together in a category along with everyone else. So, Chris, maybe you and I could do a quick example. We could probably spend the entire hour just on how to create a compelling benefit statement, but I'll give a resource to everybody here in just a minute. But why don't you be the patient? And, Chris, why don't you ask me, maybe we're at a Chamber of Commerce mixer before a meeting, and we meet each other for the first time, and, Chris, you ask me what it is that I do.
So, Steve, I've noticed you at these meetings a couple times, and I know we've never had a chance to really chat because of the nature of the meetings, and I'm really curious about what you actually do.
Well, you know, Chris, that is a really good question. Let me ask you this. Do you know anybody who has had, maybe in the past, a really bad experience at the dentist or dreads going to the dentist?
Oh my gosh, I hate to admit this, I'm actually one of those people.
Well, you're not alone. I'll tell you what I do is I have a unique system where we make going to the dentist not only a healthy experience, but a pleasant experience that you'll look forward to every time.
Oh, wow. Okay. So would you be able to share more about that?
So I'll stop right there. The key to having a great compelling benefit statement is once you give it, then the person asks, tell me more, because it's so compelling. They want to know more about it and exactly how you do that. So that is action item number 2 is create a compelling benefit statement. With this webinar that we'll post online, we will have a resource document, a worksheet, on how to create a compelling benefit statement. It has some specific questions that you can answer and will guide you through the process of creating a compelling benefit statement. So we highly recommend that you go through that process so that everybody on the team is saying the same thing or something similar when you're out telling people what you want to do. That's a lot more compelling than saying, well, I'm a dentist or I work for a dentist. You have something that you can say that's compelling, that starts a conversation, that it engenders some enthusiasm and gets people interested in what it is that you do. So once you've defined your target market and you've defined your compelling benefit statement, now you've got the 2 essential ingredients. You know exactly who it is you're trying to attract, and you know your compelling benefit for that group of what it is that will attract them. So then the next key is to make sure that you create compelling word of mouth. And that's one of the things that the C.B.S. statement, your compelling benefit statement, helps you do. I'll just run through these quick statistics here, which says that 46% of patients say that they choose their healthcare professional, including their dentist, based on word of mouth over and above any other source of marketing. So it is, again, one of those things where you've got to constantly work on the word of mouth, and we'll give you some ways to do that here in just a minute, but your compelling benefit statement is one of those. So once you know who they are and what it is you're going to use to attract them, then this next natural law kicks into place. You've all heard this, and we've said it for years. Birds of a feather flock together. It's a lot easier to go where your market is flocking than it is to get them to come to you. And so the next question to ask yourself is, where does your market naturally gather? Where do the kinds of people that you want to market to, the kinds of people that you want to attract to your practice, where do they naturally get together anyway? Where are they naturally going? And where do they naturally flock, meetings that they go to, organizations they belong to? In other words, it's a lot easier, if you'll excuse the analogy, it's a lot easier to take a shotgun and shoot into the flock than it is to take a rifle and try and shoot one bird. I'd rather be going after the flock with my shotgun. So that's the next question is, where can you find groups of prospects where you can dominate that group and be the dentist. Now, every town has a power structure, meaning that in that town there is some type of organization or organizations where the power structure, where all the power people are. So depending on who your target market is, then you want to go find the power structure for that target market. Let me give you just some easy examples. In many towns, the leaders flock to the Rotary Club or the Lions Club or the Kiwanis Club. In other towns, it's very different. I was in Salina, Kansas with Dr. Guy Gross and his team not too long ago, and the power structure in Salina, Kansas lies with the AMBUCS organization. So all the leading business people in Salina, Kansas belong to that organization. In Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, Dr. Ed White, who's a Crown Council member, a big part of the power structure in that town rests with the college that is in that town, has a lot of prominence, and so that is where the power structure rests. There's another community that I'm familiar with where the Historical Preservation Committee has a lot of the power. It's a kind of a historical tourist town, and so of all kind of the who's who of town, all the power brokers are on the Historical Preservation Committee. So where is the power structure in your target market? Let's say, for example, that your target market is women, and that you have women between a certain age, and maybe some of the power structure, you might have a junior league in your town. If you're familiar with the junior league, it's an organization of women that kind of make things happen. So do your research and find out where the influencers for your target market reside, and figure out ways, we'll talk about this in just a minute, figure out ways to get involved and to be a part of those power structures where you can dominate and be the dentist or have a prominent presence in that organization or that power structure. So that's action item number action item number 3 is, where do they flock? Where are the organizations? Where's the power structure? Where is it that you can find groups of people that that fit your target market, where you can get in front of them on a regular basis? Next rule then is, once you've defined where they are, is to understand that there's a difference between involvement, meaning sticking your toe in the water, and accomplishment, meaning diving in head first and getting totally immersed in these organizations and the places where it is that you want to dominate. You can't just be a member. You can't just show up and participate. You have to accomplish significant things. Take a leadership role. Make yourself prominent in those organizations by finding ways that you can contribute in a significant way. Now, we're going to give you a couple of examples of these based on experience of Crown Council members that have done a great job of that. And one that is one of my favorites comes from one of the most economically challenged parts of the country, near Detroit, Michigan. Chris is going to tell us about Dr. Steve Gustafson and Dr. Sherry Morningstar in Royal Oak, Michigan. Chris?
Well, you know, the great thing about both Dr. Gustafson and Dr. Morningstar was that they did exactly this. They decided to be involved, and as a result, they accomplished quite a bit, specifically with 2 areas. It was with the Chamber of Commerce and the Boys and Girls Club. Now, take into consideration, we're talking about a practice that's in the middle of Detroit, where in the midst of all of the talk with the economy and the car industry, they both decided to shift their frame, take the bull by the horns, and really immerse themselves as far as flocking to where the other birds were flocking in their community. And because of that, because of their involvement and consistent involvement with staying involved with these 2 areas and in the community, Dr. Gustafson particularly has become known as the dentist in Royal Oak, Michigan. He took a huge opportunity where no one was attending these meetings and just utilizing that spot for his C.B.S. and just really immersing himself. So because of that, it's really resulted in the community talking about them, being aware of what's going on in their practice, and it's trickling back to them with new patients walking through the door.
One of the things, Chris, and thanks for sharing that, I think that's important to understand here is there is nothing quick fix or immediate about anything that we talk about in this area. In other words, we live in a culture that's addicted to immediate results, and some things, many times the best things, are built over time, and they take time and they take effort, and to establish a prominent presence takes time, persistence, influence, and staying in and repetition and getting to know the right people. So this is one example of that, is strategically deciding where it is that you want your influence to be felt and making a plan to be totally engaged and accomplish some significant things, not just to be involved and have the name on your door. So that is action item number 4, is once you decide and figure out where the targets are, then get immersed. Figure out how you can make a significant contribution, how you can accomplish something significant in that area with the people that make the most sense for your practice. Next is get everybody on the team on board and engaged in asking. You know, it's one thing to know who your target is. It's another thing to know how to talk to them. We talked a little bit about your compelling benefit statement, which is an important key to that, which is having a compelling benefit statement that is engaging, that you can talk to people when they ask you that common question of what it is that you do. And then also having a system in place where everybody on the team is excited and engaged about asking other people to become a patient. Everyone's familiar with the statistic. There's only about half the people that go to the dentist on a regular basis, 50%. That means that 1 out of every 2 people that you meet on a regular basis, 1 out of every 2, does not have what we call a happy dental home. And so following that conversation that I initiated with Chris just a few minutes ago with my compelling benefit statement, I might ask her this. I'd say, Chris, tell me about it. Who is your dentist?
At the current time, I actually don't have one.
Well, it's your lucky day, Chris, because I would love to invite you to our practice to consider our dental practice as your new dental home. How does that sound?
That would be great.
Now, that may sound kind of corny, but I'll tell you what. I have those conversations everywhere I go, everywhere in America. In the office supply store, on the airplane, everywhere we go. I love to find new patients for Crown Council offices everywhere I go. Chris, why don't you tell us about a system that can be implemented in the office to get everybody on the team on board with asking people to be a patient?
Well, we have, we always like to be creative and certainly gear up the team to get excited about this whole skill, this whole plan. So we've got a couple practices, Dr. Scott and Dr. Prani White, Dr. Peter Young, and his team, where we decided to create an incentive for the team to get them in the habit of asking everywhere they go. They often don't want to tread outside of the practice doors. So what we do is we practice first as a team about how that conversation should go, like Steve and I role-played, and then we talk about what kind of incentives. So for example, at Dr. Scott and Dr. Prani White's office, we offered the team an incentive of whomever asked the most potential patients outside the practice will have a fun surprise that they will gift them at the end of the month. And in the morning huddle, where they huddle every day doing their mom, we've got a dry erase board where we place tick marks, and it's the honor system of how many people they asked the day prior, so they can keep a going scorecard, if you will, of who's been asking how many. And it was just the activity of asking. the other part of it was to make sure as they were asking and giving a card for the practice, they were receiving information from that patient. So they would get the real clear feeling of how to ask the patient who's your dentist, tell them about their C.B.S., and so on and so forth. But what it did was it inspired the team to go outside their boundaries of the practice, and in turn, the doctors felt excited to give them a little incentive at the end of the month. So for the Whites team, we gave them a gift card to be able to spend at the store that they love the most in their area. And for Dr. Young's team, he gives a fun little monetary incentive, and the team gets really excited because as they ask more throughout the month, he ups the ante, and that gets them really pumped up to do this activity.
So that is the next action item, number 5, is create some kind of a system where everybody on the team can get involved in asking people to become a patient everywhere you go. Grocery store shopping, out, the ball games, whatever it is. That is a topic of conversation everywhere you go is what do you do? And so you got to have a way where everybody can get involved in referring patients to the practice. All right, now move from the power structure. We're going to go after a little different target, which is same target, you got the focus on the same target market, but a little different approach, and this is what we call going horizontal. This is finding other businesses that have the same target market that you do and get to know them. Invite them to be patients, and then work on programs that you can cross-refer. Chris, give us some examples of some other businesses you have worked with as you've helped market dental practices.
You know, Steve, I love to look at places like spas in the area, even plastic surgeons, because that's so about how people want to look and feel about themselves. So oftentimes we will target and befriend them and really discuss how we can complement one another and invite not only just their clients but also their team to be patients in our practice. Dr. Jamie Sled in Minnesota does a fantastic job with her team where they befriended the spa owner of the upper crust spa in their area that everybody goes to. And what they do is they work on this all year round. What they do together is they organize a makeover, if you will, and they invite someone to participate from the community. And what it ends in being is this event that Dr. Jamie and the spa owner collaborate together so that this person gets a full makeover, not only on their smile, but their clothing and haircut as well. They get some perks, and they hold a big party so that Dr. Jamie is known in town as the dentist to go to look good, feel good, and be great from head to toe. So it's a real great place to get inspired, but make sure you also befriend the team and invite them to be patients as well.
Excellent. So there are literally dozens of different examples of other businesses that you can cooperate with and coordinate with. Later coming up in January, I'm going to be speaking to a nationwide association of optometrists, and we're talking together about how we can get all the optometrists together with the Crown Council members so that we can work together on the first two things that make a great first impression, your eyes and your smile. Those two things are the first two things that people look at when they meet somebody the first time, is their eyes and their smile. So use some creativity, whether it's the spa, the dermatologist. You might even go on a periodontal route with cardiologists and physicians. There's a lot of different variations on this. But on purpose, start building relationships with the other businesses in your town that have the same target market that you do. Go horizontal. Now, let me share with you the next piece of this, which is once you've stirred everybody up and you have these people coming in, you've got to give them something to talk about beyond the ordinary. They have to have an extraordinary experience. In my upcoming blog this week, I share a story that just happened Friday. in Goshen, Indiana. Now, if you don't know where Goshen, Indiana is, that's okay, because I think there's a few people there who don't know where it is either. But Goshen is just outside of South Bend, not too far from South Bend, Indiana, and I was there on Friday speaking to the North Central Dental Society, headed up by Dr. Bill Myers, who's a Crown Council member, and we were eating at the Chili's on Thursday evening in Goshen. And Stuart from the Crown Council was with me, and as we sat down, the server, Stephanie, approached us and welcomed us, and I told Stephanie that Stuart had come halfway across the country because he loved Chili's chips and salsa. And so she looked at Stuart and she said, "Stuart, you have come to the right place. I'm going to take really good care of you this evening." And so she promptly returned with not just one, but 2 baskets of chips and salsa. Mine was the regular size. Stuart's was the jumbo size with two cups of salsa. And then as she brought our check at the end of the meal, with the check she brought 2 large plastic bags of chips and 2 big containers of salsa for Stuart to take home to him. Now that gave us something to talk about. Crown Council mentor T. Scott Gross, who is the author of Positively Outrageous Service, suggests that some of the best word-of-mouth ideas meet 3 criteria. They're random, they're unexpected, and they're out of proportion to the circumstance. Random meaning not everybody gets it. You choose the people based on their circumstance. It's unexpected. People do not expect what's going to happen to them, and it's kind of out of proportion to the circumstance. In other words, it takes them by surprise, by pleasant surprise. Now, these things don't have to be huge, but they're the nice little added touches that give people things that they otherwise wouldn't think about, that give them something to talk about. So here's some interesting things that from Chris's experience that she's found. Chris, tell us about the umbrella.
Well, you know, we're always interested in how to give that wow factor to our patients. So we think about the needs and different parts of the year, seasons, if you will. So when it's raining in the springtime, we have umbrellas with the practice name on them that we're ready to give out on a rainy day, and have a place that it's parked at the front of the office. And, you know, we want to make sure that we make a different impression than what they expect. So we'll have different items depending on what we've brainstormed for the year. We have things like your car being washed in the summertime while you're in doing your dental treatment. Things like, obviously, many of you do bottled water with your practice name. Even in the wintertime, we've attempted to get a patient's car started to get it heated up in that cold weather while they're checking out at the front desk. So anything that we can do to get our patients to talk about us when they leave the practice, when they're going to the grocery store and they're calling their friends, we will do it to stand out.
In fact, Chris, you told me about one practice where you even had them hired high school students to wash the patients' cars while they were in the office.
Right, exactly.
So it can take on a lot of different ways, shapes, or forms, and not something necessarily you need to do on a daily basis. Let me tell you about one that is my favorite. 21st Century Dental in Irving, Texas, and Las Colinas is the home of Dr. Jeff Roy and Kent Smith, and they've been featured on the Crown Council Practice of the Month, so you can go to crowncouncil.org and watch the video of their practice, as well as you'll be hearing an upcoming Mentor of the Month program with Dr. Kent Smith on the 20 things that have made him a better dentist. But 2 of the things that I love about their practice that they give people something to talk about is they actually have a milkshake bar in their office. Now, lest this sound too complicated, all the milkshakes are pre-made in a freezer, and all they do is shortly before the patient's departure, they grab a milkshake out of the freezer, they put it in the microwave for a short 30 seconds or less, they stir it up, and they have a ice-cold milkshake ready to go as they walk out the door. One of the other things they do that I love that you can watch on the Practice of the Month video is on a regular basis, at least once a month, they have a special day that they identify where everybody that comes in on that day, they get an opportunity to celebrate whatever that day is. So they get the calendar of all the silly holidays that there are, and there's a lots of them, like Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. And if they select that as the day that they're going to celebrate, then everybody that comes in that day gets a chocolate chip cookie in celebration of Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, or whatever it might be. But the point is to do something unique, something different, something random, unexpected, and out of proportion to the circumstance that gives people something to talk about. So that is action item number 7, is give them something to talk about. Do things on a regular basis that are random, unexpected, and out of proportion to the circumstance that makes their visit unique and different and gives them something to talk about. One of our favorite marketing tie-ins is what we affectionately refer to as cause-related marketing, where something that you do ties into some type of charitable worthy cause. Roper Starch Worldwide, a research organization, based on their research, says that 67% of consumers buy from businesses engaged in cause-related marketing over their competition, meaning that when things are viewed as being relatively equal, that they will choose to do business with someone who is involved in a worthy cause. Let me give you a couple of examples here. Most are familiar with Paul Newman brand of salad dressing foods and other things. I think the company's now into just I think they're probably doing pet food now. But the funny thing about this is, what is it that, I'm not sure what Paul Newman knows about food, but with his celebrity status, he has put his brand on all kinds of food-related products. But the appeal beyond the celebrity is that, and if you read the small print on the label, all the proceeds after taxes go to charity. And Paul Newman claims that this has been far more successful than anything he ever did in Hollywood. So when you do something that is tied in to a charitable cause, most of you are familiar with Ben and Jerry's ice cream, has been cause-related from the very beginning. They're going to save the planet with their ice cream. Now, the ice cream will kill you if you look on the ingredients, but they're going to save the planet as they feed you this delicious stuff. One of my favorite cause-related marketing tie-ins is Target. Target stores all over the country, most of them as you walk in the door or as you walk out, will have a large sign that reminds you that 5% of the proceeds from that store will go to local schools in your community. So every time you shop at Target, you get that warm feeling in your heart that you're benefiting kids and education in your town. One of the most exciting things that we have been involved in is the Smiles for Life, the Smiles for Life Foundation that we started now nearly 14 years ago, birthed as a brainchild of Dr. Jeff Gray in San Diego, has now broached the $30 million mark in monies raised and donated to children's causes all over the country, all over the world. Smiles for Life continues to grow, and it is an amazing opportunity on many fronts to get involved in something worthwhile that will also help you market your practice in a way that you otherwise would not be able to do. So Chris and I thought we would take give you a few ideas here of some things that you can do to get engaged in Smiles for Life. If you haven't done the Smiles for Life campaign in the past, what you can do to get started, and for those that have been involved, some new materials, some new ideas, some new initiatives that you can engage in to make your Smiles for Life involvement even greater and even reinvent it, if you will. So step number 1 is to get started early. The Smiles for Life campaign starts March 1st every year and runs through the end of June. We usually run it for 3 months, March, April, and May, with June being a wrap-up month where we get everything wrapped up and finished up. And so the key to it is, even though it starts in March, is to get started early and get your preparations started in March, get your preparations started in October and November, because many of these things require some communication, some planning, coordination with other people in your community. So the earlier you start, then the better it will be. In fact, Chris, tell them about shopping on Christmas Eve.
I was sharing with Steve that I compare it to the panic that you feel if you decide to go shopping on Christmas Eve for all of your Christmas gifts, and how I never want to feel that panic. So with Smiles for Life, I make sure that I get started early enough so I never, ever, ever have to feel like I'm shopping on Christmas Eve.
So now's the time to get started, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to bring this up now, because now is the good planning stage to plan a successful marketing campaign where you can make a big presence in the community. You can bring a lot of people in. Smiles for Life just isn't about your existing patients. It's about bringing new patients into your practice as well. That gives them an opportunity to participate in something worthwhile, as well as to get to know your practice. So here's, for starters, I'm going to take you out to the Smiles for Life section of the Crown Council website. So if you go to crowncouncil.org, and as you go to that website, if you'll go under the Giving section, you should be able to follow along with me right here on the website, and then click on Smiles for Life. All of the most recent updated information on the Smiles for Life campaign is housed here. So you'll see a welcome to the 2012 Smiles for Life campaign. Again, starts in the official start is March 1st, 2012, with all of the ramp-up that will happen between now and then. There are some fun new additions this year that we have made to the Smiles for Life campaign, thanks to Jack Hadley and his team at Lava 7. Jack has put together all of the social media and really all the marketing materials for Smiles for Life for the last few years, and has been a huge resource and made a huge contribution. All of the work that Jack and his team have done on Smiles for Life has been done at no charge to the foundation. That is their contribution to Smiles for Life. So we appreciate Jack and his team from Lava 7 making that generous donation. So this year we've added a dimension to this, which is you can donate to Smiles for Life through the teeth whitening campaign that we've done for many years, as well as we've made arrangements where people can just send a simple text message and donate $10 to the Smiles for Life campaign. So you'll see on the screen where it says text SMILE006 to that number, 80808, and automatically a $10 donation will be added to your phone bill. And so that's an additional way people will be able to donate to Smiles for Life. Your office, actually, when you participate in this, will be assigned a code. So one office might be SMILE006, another office would be SMILE007, so that when those donations are received, we will know the office to which that donation should be attributed, so that you'll get the credit for your patients who donate through that medium. So in addition to that, there will be a whole new set of promotional materials that will be provided this year. There will be practice posters, as you see here. There will be team member buttons that you can wear on your scrubs and your shirts. There will be treatment room table tents that will be visible in each treatment room. We'll show you the Facebook idea here in just a minute. There will be new pass-along cards. There will be new counter displays. All of this will be new materials that will be available this year for the Smiles for Life campaign. So what we would highly recommend here is that you start by, one, if you have participated in the Smiles for Life campaign this last calendar year, in other words, the campaign that ended up finished in June, you will be automatically, we're assuming that you will be participating again, and so you'll be receiving information on all the things that you need to do to get up to speed on this year's campaign coming up in 2012. If you have not participated in Smiles for Life in this last campaign, then you need to go to this section where it says New to Smiles for Life. You can register and click on this button right here where it says Click Here, and there's a simple form there to fill out where you can register for Smiles for Life, and that will get you in the system so that we can get you all the materials you need to participate in Smiles for Life. So that would be action item number 8 is update your Smiles for Life status. If you've participated last year, you're in good shape and we'll be sending you information automatically. If you did not participate last year, register now by going to crowncouncil.org, click on Giving, and then Smiles for Life, and make sure you're registered for this year's Smiles for Life campaign. There's a lot of information as well in this section, in this area right here where it says Join Our Group. You can actually join a discussion group of other Crown Council offices that are participating in Smiles for Life where you can exchange ideas on things that are working. This next part where it says Core Training, this is one of my favorites because it is a video training program featuring moi that will walk you through how to convert Smiles for Life patients into long-term repeat and referral patients. So I consider it essential training for everybody on the team to make sure that you know how to take the most out of Smiles for Life and get the most out of it. There are some forms here in this section, including press releases and other forms that are important, as well as this section where you have your marketing downloads. So that whole area on crowncouncil.org under Giving, under Smiles for Life, has a whole section of resources that are essential and helpful in making the Smiles for Life campaign a successful endeavor in your office. So those that have participated in Smiles for Life, as they go through that on a yearly basis, it can be one of the most powerful things you have to gain dominance in your community. One of the options that you have in the Smiles for Life campaign is to select a local charity to which up to 50% of the proceeds of the money that you raise, up to 50% of the proceeds will be donated. One of the things that we highly suggest here is that you identify, if you're going to do that, you identify that organization now, get busy on identifying who that is, meet with them, and make sure that you clarify what the expectations are on their end in order to receive the donation. In other words, you might want to have them send out a message to all of their donors or patrons or volunteers announcing the Smiles for Life campaign and encouraging those people to come in and participate. There might be some type of a function or functions they have where they give you some prominence to announce the campaign. But be very clear on what your expectations are of that organization so that they can prepare and make sure that they're doing their part to help you make the campaign successful, and make sure that there's a clearly defined two-way street. If we're going to give the money, then this is what we need you to do to help us be successful and get the word out to as many people as possible. So make sure that is defined up front and early so that the expectations are clear and they can get started to help you make the campaign successful. One of the pieces of the Smiles for Life campaign is Jack Hadley and his team at Lava 7 provide a Facebook page free of charge that you can add to your Facebook presence that has all of the complete Smiles for Life information resident. It's one of the great benefits of the Smiles for Life campaign. Again, it's free of charge. Jack and his team will help put all of that together, and it'll have all of the information on Smiles for Life, the different ways people can donate, and links to help them do that. So it's just one more benefit of this that will help you gain some prominence and some presence to help make the Smiles for Life campaign successful and help you gain a little bit more dominance and presence in your community. Next piece of this, as far as Smiles for Life is concerned, and I think, Chris, I think this really is a relevant issue with everything that we've talked about, is get the whole team on board. In other words, this is my favorite team, Dallas Mavericks, who didn't do bad this year, and get everybody on board, every team member on the team together to make some decisions and to contribute on what they're going to do to make, for example, the Smiles for Life campaign successful? What can everybody do? What can each individual do to make it a successful endeavor for the office and for the entire community? So pull the whole team together. This isn't just about the doctor or the office manager or the marketing director, but this is an entire team effort to help raise the practice in prominence and do some good in the community and make it happen. So that is a team effort. Here are some additional Smiles for Life ideas that have come from offices around the country that have shared some things that they have found successful. Dr. John George suggests something that many teams have done, which is hanging the Smiles for Life thermometer on your reception room wall to track donations, and then letting patients color in the amount of their donations so they can watch the mercury rise on the poster so they can see the accumulation of those donations. So it's one more way to get everybody involved in that whole process. Many practices have focused their Smiles for Life efforts on the dental humanitarian initiative that we have going on in the Dominican Republic. Many Smiles for Life offices and Crown Council offices have had the opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic and do dentistry in some of the most rural parts of that country. It is unique in its mission and unique in its outcome. The difference in what we're doing here, this is not just dental humanitarian tourism where you just go down and do dentistry and have a good time, but we actually have a mission here to change a culture and to instill in the Dominican culture a desire to give back. Every humanitarian expedition that we go on includes half of the providers are Dominican dentists and dental students with whom we work side by side, giving them the opportunity to give back, and they are now doing the same when we are not there, which is one of our biggest goals in that whole initiative. So that is an option for anyone who does Smiles for Life. If you'd like to go to the Dominican Republic, there's a way that you can direct your Smiles for Life efforts in that direction. Another interesting idea is that many offices will set aside a Smiles for Life day in their practice. Sometimes it's a Friday, sometimes it's a Saturday, but where they schedule all of their Smiles for Life whitening patients on one day, and the whole team then donates their time that day. And so it's a win-win. Everyone donates to make the program successful. The team donates their time. Discus Dental donates the whitening material, as you know. The patient donates the contribution. And so it's everyone donates and everybody wins to the benefit of the kids. So that's just one more idea for consideration that you might want to consider. Beyond just the whitening initiative, there are many offices around the country that have done other programs that benefit Smiles for Life. The one thing to keep in mind is that Smiles for Life is your charity. In other words, it's a way that you can add a cause-related component to your practice without having to jump through all the hoops of going through and having a IRS certified charity. So it's your charity that you can do different things for. We've had practices that have done chili cook-offs. Zampieri has done, for many years, done a golf tournament to raise money for Smiles for Life and its associated beneficiaries. Tim Modick in Maryland has started doing a motorcycle rally every year to raise money for Smiles for Life. So there's many, many different ways that you can use the cause-related aspect of Smiles for Life to benefit the practice and benefit the people who will receive the charities, the money. So action item number 9, and this is one that I'd highly encourage you to do, is sit down with the entire team and make a list of 21 different ways that you could make your cause-related marketing efforts successful. How would you do that? How would you get it out there? 21 different ways to use Smiles for Life as a cause-related marketing initiative in your practice to help move the practice higher in prominence in your community and do something significant and something good for your community and the people in it. Here is a new opportunity. Yes, Chris, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that, Steve. I love what you said, and I think it's so important for the team to understand that they can think outside the box, and when they get together such as your annual meeting, your State of the Practice Address meeting, to do what Steve just said and brainstorm some out-of-the-box ideas, because it doesn't always have to be about whitening the teeth. It's making your mark in the community.
So that is, it's all about how to use that as a vehicle to raise your prominence. Here's an interesting opportunity. Those of you that were at the annual event earlier this year met Rory Vaden, who is one of the country's experts on self-discipline. He did a great presentation. His upcoming book, called Take the Stairs, will be published in February. As a part of that launch, he's going to do a Take the Stairs tour all across America. And he is invited, given the opportunity, to Crown Council offices around the country to participate in that. And he has agreed to generously donate the 100% of the proceeds from his Take the Stairs tour to Smiles for Life. So again, if you go to crowncouncil.org and under the Mentor of the Month, let's see, Training Mentor of the Month right there, you will see his Mentor of the Month audio is the first thing listed there. And on this icon where it says Mentor of the Month PDF file, you will find this flyer right here that says exclusive opportunity to partner with Take the Stairs. And so you're welcome to take a look at that. It's got all the details. And there are specific cities around the country where he will be appearing, where there's an opportunity to be a sponsor and be involved. And so you're welcome to take a look at that. And if you have an interest in being a part of that to benefit your Smiles for Life efforts, you are welcome to call Drew at the Crown Council office at 1-800-276 5876. No, 58. I don't even know my whole number. My own number. 1-800-CROWN-58. How's that?
There you go.
1-800-CROWN-58. So that is another opportunity new this year to do something significant for your community. If you remember hearing Rory at the annual event, you can actually bring him to your town, and he'll do a rally for your town, and you can be the one to introduce him and sponsor that whole effort in your town to gain dominance in your community. So what's next? Here's just a quick review of the action items, and then we'll just have a few minutes here for questions that you might have on what we've talked about. So let me go through the action items we've talked about today. First, do an 80-20 analysis on your practice to determine who your target market is, who it is that you're trying to target and bring more of. Number two, your C.B.S. or compelling benefit statement. Work through the worksheet that we'll provide in conjunction with this webinar to renew and refresh your compelling benefit statement so that when you talk to people, it gives you something compelling to talk about so you're not just talking about the dentist. Number three, flock where the people is that you're trying to attract. In other words, find where they naturally gather and be there. Number four, immerse yourselves in those organizations. Don't just be involved, but take a leadership role and do something to have impact in those organizations with the people where you want to have the most influence. Number five, have a system for asking for referrals or getting the team to go out in the community and ask people to come to the practice. Have a system for that. Number six is go horizontal. Find other businesses that have the same target market you do. Invite them to be patients and then find ways where you can cross-market each other. Number seven is give them something to talk about. Do things in your practice on a regular basis that are random, unexpected, and out of proportion to the circumstance that get people talking about their great dental experience in your office. Number eight is get started with Smiles for Life today. Don't wait. Don't wait until March. Do it today. Start your planning. Get registered if you didn't do it last year so that you can start putting your plan together to have a successful cause-related marketing campaign. Number nine is to come up with 21 different ideas for making Smiles for Life successful or including cause-related marketing in your practice. And number 10 is our latest, if it applies, opportunity to sponsor an event in your community, in this case with Rory Vaden. So there are 10 immediately actionable items to take away from today's webinar on how you can in many different ways, increase the prominence and the dominance in your community to be the dental practice in town. So with that, Greg, questions here as we wrap up in the next few minutes?
Yes, just a couple. First, would you go back to the crowncouncil.org screen? I've had a couple of questions about when the webinar will be online and where to find it. So if you go to crowncouncil.org and you go to the training tab and you go to webinars, that's where it will be. It will be the first one listed. So here's the last one, 21 Ways to Build Team Harmony and Motivation. And that will be replaced before the end of the day, if we are lucky, with this webinar. And there was also a question about where the compelling benefit statement worksheet will be. And right there, there'll be a webinar PDF file you can click on.
You got it.
Second question is maybe one I could answer. We were asked, how is it that we are able to use Smiles for Life for a local charity?
Okay.
What Steve meant there was that the foundation's tax-exempt status is available to you. So if you're doing a chili cook-off or a pizza party or a golf tournament and you want the people who are donating money to write their checks to Smiles for Life, you are able to do that, send all of the checks here, and then we can turn that money around and write the check back to your local charity or whoever your partner is. So this is a foundation owned by its members, not by itself. I had a question about texting. On the Smiles for Life campaign, if the text SMILE001 to 80808 could be used like in an arena, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
If you have like your night at the ballpark, you could put that up on the Jumbotron. It'll also be on the pass-along cards in your office. Many people have already contributed to Smiles for Life but would like to contribute more. You give one of those cards to everybody that walks in the office and tell them if they'd like to participate this year, that you're supporting the Boys and Girls Club, and if they just text to that number, $10 in their name will go towards the campaign.
One of the key things on there that's really great, Greg, that I'll just reiterate is that each office will have their own code so that we will be able to specifically identify where the money came from and to which office it should be, which office gets the credit for the donation. So every office has a different text code that will be assigned to you when you sign up this year. So it's a very innovative and fun way to add another dimension to the whole campaign.
Yes, and that is exactly. It will be on all your posters. It will be on the big signs. It will be on your pass-along cards, so that it won't be mixed up with anybody else.
You got it.
Let's see. And thank you to the 6 people who have never participated in Smiles for Life who have signed up in the last 15 minutes.
Wow.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Glad to have you with us.
And Steve, just one more for you as we finish up here. There was a question that was asked on what is your personal experience with the conversion of Smiles for Life patients to new long-term patients. You mentioned the training program, but they're wondering what your actual experience is in taking people who aren't patients in the practice and being able to convert them.
Good question. So a couple of things here. One, the training that's on crowncouncil.org under Giving Smiles for Life, and then there's that video training piece that's on there that I would suggest that everybody watch that's doing Smiles for Life, and watch it every year. It's got some good reminders in it. That was born out of our experience. So we took the collective experience from all the offices as well as personal experience in dealing with patients. Now here is the math. Okay, you asked for personal experience. Here's the math. You might want to jot this down. What we handled correctly, like most types of marketing, it's about a third, a third, and a third. You'll have about a third of the people that will come in to do Smiles for Life that just want to make the donation to benefit whatever cause you've identified that will never come back. Okay, they're just coming in to make the donation, and they want to do that, and that's how they're going to do it, and they like the deal, and so they're in, they're out, they're done, and thank you very much. There's a third that will come in and will keep coming back because they've never really had an experience anywhere else. They gave them a compelling reason to stay. And so you have a great opportunity to retain those people. And then you have a third that are kind of on the fence. They could go either way depending on how they're treated. So that's where the training really comes into play, is with that middle third that may come back, may not, just depending on their experience. And if you can provide them with the right kind of experience, then you will retain those people. So if you do that math, a third, and a third, that means that done correctly, you should be able to retain 2/3 of the people of the new patients who come in on the Smiles for Life campaign. So that at least has been our experience. Have the results been less than that in some places? Absolutely. When it kind of unravels into a just, we're whitening teeth for charity and we just kind of go through the motions and do the deal, then the retention numbers go way down. But when everybody's on their game, gives the patients a great experience, and treats it just like a new patient, just like you treat a new patient experience, and pours it on, then the retention numbers have a tendency to be very, very high. So I hope that helps. Watch the training, review it. It's got some good stuff in it that's good for any team.
That's it.
Perfect. I think we're on the hour. Thanks, everybody, for being with us, and I hope you find some new energy and some new ideas in what we've talked about in all of the different areas today to take your practice to the next level, to dominate your market and become the practice in town. Thanks for joining us for our Crown Council webinar today. Chris Taconis, thank you for your input.
Thank you, sir.
And Greg, thanks for the great organization and getting everybody together. This is Steve Anderson. If you have any questions, you know how to find us. Again, 1-800-CROWN-58, Crown Council office. Have a super day and a super week, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Steve.